Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Ellon in Aberdeenshire once again, which many of you might know is home to Brewdog, and we've got the third beer in their Hammerhead series today. This is a series I've quite enjoyed. The Monk Hammer and the Black Hammer were pretty good when I reviewed them, so today we have the Chilli Hammer, which is a Chilli IPA. This one was released at the same time as Neon Overlord, and these two beers have actually been Brewdog's first attempts at Chilli IPAs, if I'm not mistaken. They have done Chilli beers in the Dog series before, the Chilli Stouts and things, but this is the first time they've had a go at the Chilli IPAs. So I'm interested to see how this one turns out, because I have to admit I didn't enjoy the Neon Overlord all that much, but I've heard this one is pretty good. This one's rated at 86 or 87 overall on Rate Beer and 94 within the style, so it should be a pretty good example actually. Looking forward to trying this one. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. The brewery website, the link to my other Brewdog reviews. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel uses a geography-based tagging system, so you can search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever you're interested in. There's also playlists for beers from each of the different countries, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. And you can check out my sake and whiskey reviews too, so hopefully I hear from you at some point soon. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewdog. So Brewdog started back in 2007 by two guys, James Watt and Martin Dickey, and their first brewery was at the Keswick Industrial Estate in Fraserburgh in the very northeast of Scotland, right on the tip of the monster's nose, as I always like to say. But in 2012 they moved to their new, very shiny and purpose-built facility in Ellon, which is closer to the city of Aberdeen, where I used to study chemistry. These guys are a very experimental craft brewery. They really are largely influenced by the American craft brewing renaissance. They often cite the likes of Sierra Nevada and Stone and breweries like that for being their influence, and you can taste that when you taste some of the IPAs. They do say that they are an IPA brewery mainly, but I would say that some of the best beers I've had from Brewdog have actually been some of the stouts and imperial stouts. Dogma, for example, the Scotch Ale, is also one of my favourites, and I love Riptide as well. But that said, Jackhammer and Hardcore IPA have been some of my favourite beers from these guys as well. But they also have a thriving chain of brew pubs. These started in 2010 with the first one in Aberdeen. They've also expanded throughout the rest of Scotland and into England and then further afield since then. The furthest away ones I can think of are the Roppongi Bar in Japan, and there's also one in Sao Paulo in Brazil, and they are further expanding that. They're also working on their second brewery at the moment over in Columbus, Ohio, and in Ellon they've also started distilling gins, and there's whiskies coming out as well, but you have to wait a few years for those, and they'll be released under the name Lone Wolf Distillery. But these guys are actually the largest independently owned Scottish craft brewery these days, and what's interesting about them as well is that a lot of their kind of developments that they've done, their infrastructure developments, have been funded through their Equity for Punks scheme, which is where fans can basically buy into the brewery in exchange for discounts. Essentially it's a crowdfunding scheme, so these guys are one of the biggest crowdfunded breweries that you're going to find actually, and it's really quite fascinating just to watch how quickly they've grown. So if you're studying business, I guess Brewdog could be an interesting case study for you to look at, and they do some pretty interesting beers as well. My personal favourites probably are the Hardcore IPA. I like Jackhammer as well, Dogma, and they also have a few different series that I like as well. The Ace of Hops is always interesting. Riptide is another beer I really enjoy as well. The Paradox series of Imperial Stouts, the Abstract series is always pretty good too, but they've got a whole host of different things. They're very prolific too, and there's always new beers coming out from them. So as I said, check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can keep up to date with all the things that are going on at Brewdog, and you can check out my other reviews as well. So yeah, that's enough about Brewdog for just now, but let's actually get on to the tasting of this one. So as I mentioned to you, this guy is a Chilli IPA. It's 7.2%. And it says on the side here, Jackhammer has been single-handedly ripping it up for quite some time. Now the definitive Bister and Twisted IPA has taken on 4 hammer spread offsprings. Chilli Hammer is the third of our supercharged, hyped-up hybrids. Chili and American hops combined for a flavour bigger than Texas, a star-spangled burst of citrus with grapefruit, mango, and finally succumbs to a smooth chili kick, all of which cannot stop the rolling juggernaut of bitter finishes. Let this hot-tempered brute devour your senses. Chilli Hammer, turn up the gas. And it says a little bit about Brewdog as well. As I said, 7.2% Chilli IPA, and I do have the specs for this beer written down, so let me just get those for you. So this one, like I said, 7.2% Chilli IPA, hopped with Centennial and Columbus, with extra pale malts and chili added to the brew. And like I said, this is the third in the Hammerhead series after the Monk Hammer and Black Hammer. I should point out out as well that this one actually has a different hop makeup to Monk Hammer and Black Hammer. I thought the point of this series was just to change the malt base and things like that, but they are going to release a Rye Hammer later as well, so that'll be number 4. But this one only has the, I think it's the Centennial and the Columbus. The other one had Amarillo and Citra, and I think something else in it as well, if I remember rightly. But should be quite interesting nonetheless. Like I said, it was rated a lot better than the Neon Overlord was on Rate Beer when I checked it out earlier. So we'll get this guy out and we'll have a go at it and see how we get on. As I mentioned in my other video as well with the Neon Overlord, this is Brewdog's first attempts. This one and the Neon Overlord are Brewdog's first attempts at Chilli beers. And I had a really good one actually from Garage Project in New Zealand, so I'm always interested to see how these beers turn out, because it is a bit of an acquired taste actually. So as you can see, this beer is poured a really nice kind of hazy golden straw. I'll just put the light on and let you see that colour exactly. You can see there, very, very nice colour there. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see there is a degree of transparency to it, but it is quite opaque. There's a half finger of a frothy white head on this one, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just moving up towards the bottom of the head there too. But on this one you can smell a lot of the fruity character coming out of this beer. Smells really nice. This one, oddly enough, actually does have quite a bit of citra hop smell to it, but it does say on the website that it's only Centennial and Columbus that are in this beer. But it's nice. I mean, you've got a little bit of, I think there's a bit of mango in there. Maybe a wee bit of peach and apricot coming out as well, actually. Passion fruit, I think. You're getting a little bit of that kind of sour character that can come out with passion fruit too. If you sugar it up a bit more, you start to get the grassy and floral aromatic notes coming out of the beer too. And there's a bit of a kind of biscuity or maybe a more biscuity than crackery note coming out. You're getting some of that biscuity sweetness from this beer as well, which is quite interesting. But really the nose is dominated by the fruits. I'm not really picking up much in the way of a sort of chili character that I was getting with the other one. You could pick that up in the Neon Overlord a little bit, but really with this one you can't smell it at all. Yeah, even if I take it in quite deep, I'm not getting it really. It's more fruity, as I said, the peaches, mangoes, apricots, bit of passion fruit as well. There's an element of citrus in there too, a sort of more citricy character coming out. The pale malts are in there, the sort of biscuity sweetness, a little bit of cracker as well. And some grassy floral aromaticity. It does kind of just smell like a regular IP or paleo, to be honest, this beer. But yeah, so let's get stuck into this guy then. This one is the Chilli Hammer from Brewdog up in Ellon in Aberdeenshire, 3rd in the Hammerhead series. Slàinte. Now that's pretty good. This one just has a little bit of that spicy character. The thing I said about the Neon Overlord was that it just had too much of the hop of the spice character and not enough hops to balance it out. This one is far more balanced. Yeah, this beer is far more balanced than the Neon Overlord was. This one's got a lot more going for it. Yeah. So in the middle of the palate you've got that nice kind of biscuity, that nice sort of biscuity, crackery thing going on. You can feel the pale malts in there. It's got a bit of breadiness to it as well. Maybe a bit of a thicker yeasty character coming out as well, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty well done. I've enjoyed this. I'm enjoying this one a lot more than I was the Neon Overlord, right enough. But this one has a nice, it's got that nice malt base in there. It's got a little bit of bready character underneath. Then you've got the biscuity sweetness on top and a little bit of cracker as well. Really nicely done. At the back corners of the palate I'm getting a teeny little bit of earthiness, but as you come further forward it's more floral and aromatic, and round the front curve I'm getting more of a grassy character. And I would say as the flavour progresses it is more of a grassy character that's coming out of this one. Yeah, it's actually got a bit of pine resin in there as well, but that subsides and I think it's taken over by the kind of chili flavour that's coming out of this beer. I'm getting the chili in the back of my throat again, but this one, it's a lot nicer and it's more smooth than the Neon Overlord was. It's just a nice kind of background flavour in this one, and it adds to the complexity of the beer rather than being the main focus, I would say. Yeah, this is nicely done. They've got the flavours nicely balanced in this beer. As I would always say with chili beers though, they are definitely an acquired taste. You're going to have to try a couple of these to get used to them and actually get used to the style of the beer, because it's something completely new. As I said, the first one that I tried was the Death from Above by Garage Project in New Zealand, and it was pretty good. I did have one or two other beers from Garage Project that used these kind of chili things. I think they're quite into that. They quite like hot food and stuff down there. So in honesty, when I've tried this style first, I've tried a very high standard. And Brewdog have done, I have to say, Brewdog have done pretty well with this one. Yeah. The fruity character comes out quite nicely on this one. And it's good because this beer, the pine resins and the floral aromaticity that go with the hops they've used in this beer, they do actually work quite well. I mean, I do have to admit, with some of the flavours that are coming out of this beer, I wonder if they've made a mistake on the website actually, because it does taste like it has the same hop makeup as the Monk Hammer and the Black Hammer did. The malt base, of course, is different. I mean, there was, as I say, there was Amarillo and Citra in the other one. There was another hop as well, actually. It might have been Chinook that was in it as well. But this one does have a lot of those aspects to the flavour. You can get the fruity character, as I was saying with the aroma. If you go just behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you're getting some of this fruitiness coming out. There's a bit of kind of almost orangey citrus in there, and I'm getting the peaches, bit of apricots, you know, mango sort of thing. Not getting much of the grapefruit right enough, but as this flavour progresses, I'm starting to get a little bit more and more of the chili heat, so it's a lot more it's a lot more kind of gentle and gently done in this one than it was in Neon Overlord. So this is the kind of, if Brewdog were going to attempt a chili beer, I have to say this is more the kind of standard that I'd expect from Brewdog. But yeah, no, this is nicely done. As I say, the chili flavour gets a bit hotter as your mouth adjusts to it. I'm getting it right in the back of my throat, just kind of up in here. And then you can feel it on the tongue. As the flavour just progresses and progresses and progresses, you actually start to get a little bit more of it on the edge of your palate. But this is nicely done. I would say this one's a bit more of a kind of gentle introduction to the style than the Neon Overlord was, definitely. So if you're going to try both of the beers, because these are very new releases from Brewdog, of course, try this one and then have a go at the Neon Overlord. The Neon Overlord, I think, was more, it was supposed to be more modelled on a salad or something like that, but I don't think they got it quite right, to be honest. This one has a lot more hoppy character and balances a lot better. But yeah, this is nicely done. I have to admit, chili beers, of course, wouldn't be my first choice of beer style that I'd pick up. You know, I would always, for example, if I was going to Brewdog and it was a choice of this or Jackhammer or Hardcore, probably would go for the Hardcore, to be honest, and then have some of the darker beers later. I wouldn't necessarily pick up this one, but that's the thing, when Brewdog are such a prolific brewery, you do want to try these different beers, and this one is definitely worth having a go of if you come across it. It's really quite interesting, but it's nicely done. To say, if you like spicy things, you'll probably enjoy this one, and this is quite well balanced. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this is it's probably mid-bodied. I think it's fair to say that. It's got a little bit of an oily mouthfeel, but it feels a bit lighter than the Monk Hammer or the Monk Hammer, the Jackhammer, or the Black Hammer did. It is a bit lighter than those. It's a bit of oily character, like I said. Kind of crisp carbonation, but it feels a little bit wetter, and maybe that's just the spicy character that the beer has. But there's some sweetness from the malts initially. There's a good bit of a hoppy dry bitterness there. There's some juicy fruits as well, but then, like I said, that spicy character starts to creep up and it builds as you move further and further into the aftertaste. But overall, as I said, this is quite an interesting beer to try, and on this basis, I think Brewdog would do well to kind of experiment a little bit more with their chili beers. As I said, I didn't enjoy the Neon Overlord so much but I did quite enjoy this one. So if you have the choice between the two, try this one, but if you get the choice of both, try them and see what you think. I think with a bit of kind of retinkering, Neon Overlord could be good, but this one is already good. So it's really up to yourself. If you enjoy spicy foods, I think you probably will quite enjoy this one. It's nicely done, so give it a go and see what you think. But yeah, as always, I hope you've enjoyed my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. And do let me know your own thoughts on this beer and the brewery in the comment section below, and do give me some suggestions as well. But until the next time, Slanger just now, make sure you try out the Chilli Hammer from Brewdog here in Scotland. Slanger just now.